live from the Bayside Bunker. It's another edition of Bettin and Boozin here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Roscoe, and with a little bit of cancellation like we suffered last week, it brings upon a big Friday, not only in New York, but also down in Arkansas. We are going to cover tonight the basically all stakes and the late pick four on Withers Stakes Day at Aqueduct. Of course, supposed to be carded for last Saturday before the Arctic blast hit 90. Actually, no, I got down to like 20 degrees down here in South Florida. So really hit everybody. But that leaves us some very good cards to bet on Friday. Welcome and everyone. Thank you guys all so much for joining the show. I greatly appreciate it. If you guys do end up enjoying the show tonight, which we sure hope you do, please go down below the video player here on YouTube, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. We would greatly appreciate it because not only is it 100% completely free to do and the best way to help out our channel, but it also pushes these podcasts and others out into YouTube's algorithm, hopefully bring more horse players to the HHH Racing Podcast. And of course, for that, we thank you. See scrolling at the bottom of the screen right now, you'll see our normal podcast schedule every single week for our big three shows every single Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. It's Pacific Horseplayers talking West Coast racing, hosted by Noah, co-hosted by Ryan and Jackson. Of course, every single Wednesday right here at 8 p.m. Eastern with Bettin and Boozin, myself, Patrick, and Andrew. And every single Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern with Picks and Ponies, hosted by Howard Kravitz, of course, owner and founder, as well as Pete Visco and Paul Halloran. You can also listen to all those podcasts in audio form over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. So if that interests you more, please go rate, review, and subscribe over there. We also have short form content over on TikTok and Instagram. I posted a bunch of stuff for Holy Bull Day. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, but I will also be continuing to post more and more on there, especially as the Derby season ramps up. So if that interests you at all, please head on over to TikTok and Instagram and follow us at Bettin and Boozin Podcast. We have our shows that have been sponsored, and we really do enjoy and thank our sponsors here on the podcast. The Leaderboard is a weekly tournament show every single Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, which is sponsored by our good friends over at TwinSpires. It talks about live money contest strategy that they have over on twinspires.com. They have them every single week. Actually, Howard won last weekend. Of course, Matt Miller, who was also a co-host on the podcast, I don't even know how many tournaments he's won at this point going into the new year. Noah, Jackson, they also win a bunch. So if you're at all interested in tournament play, whether you're a seasoned veteran or a brand new player, head on over to the Leaderboard Wednesday nights and check that out. Of course, you have Wire to Wire brought to our good friends by Santa Anita and First Racing. It all talks about the Coast to Coast Pick 5 every single week. And of course, Triple Crown Trail brought to you by Adelphi Racing. That one will be posted in recording, so make sure you hit subscribe and the notification bell so you never miss it. Not only talking about Adelphi's horses, but talking about the 3-year-olds on the road to the first Saturday in May. Also, our yearly subscription for our Power Picks not only gives you the normal Power Picks, which are done through patreon.com/HHH Racing Podcast, positive ROI, since for 5 years now, as we've now hit February as the date of this recording. So if that interests you, go to patreon.com/HHH Racing Podcast. Or if you want all of those, plus our meet-specific Power Picks, which is our tip sheet for Keeneland Spring and Fall, Saratoga Summer, Del Mar Summer, Breeders' Cup, Kentucky Derby, everything. That's all done through our yearly subscription, which is Team HHH. That is all done on HHHRacingPodcast.com. Gentlemen, let's get right into, and ladies, of course, I know Katie and I know a bunch of people are in the chat, so we will definitely get right into it. Bring on my co-host first, and then we'll get right into the handicapping. First, from the East Coast of New Jersey, my good friend Patrick Kuenzel, followed by man from the Philadelphia area. Little sun to the weather, but we'll push through it. Andrew Rdesinski. Gentlemen, again, with the way that the cards have shaken out, the cancellations last Saturday and everything like that. But again, not only at Aqueduct, Oaklawn's got a massive card for Friday. And also that I didn't mention, the Tampa Bay Road to the Kentucky Derby continues as well on Saturday. So as again we get closer to the first Saturday in May, these cards are going to start picking up.
Yeah, for sure. This is a great Friday of racing that I can remember in a long time, especially in the middle of the winter. So
that's not named Kentucky Oaks or Friday, right?
Yeah, this is perfect, and I'm looking forward to this. Andrew, hope you feel a little bit better as we talk through this card.
Yeah, a little under the weather, but I should be all right.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a ton of good things to look forward to. Katie, of course, is here. Howard, can't wait for Friday. Absolutely. And some hopefully nice weather. I took a look at the weather. Supposedly supposed to be okay. I know it's not going to be 80 degrees like it will be here this weekend, but it'll be good enough. Hopefully, knock on all the wood that's in my, I'll even knock on the background here. Hopefully, the weather can stay away and we get some good racing on Friday. We're going to talk about, as I mentioned, 7 different races. Also, if you're watching live, along with us, please comment in the live chat, the bottom right-hand side of the screen on both YouTube and X. We read every single comment. We'd love to have you guys talk about this card with us. The races that we're going to cover are all the stakes races and the late pick 4. So race 2, race 4, race 6, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So lots of coverage for you guys tonight. And with that, of course, we're going to go a little bit quicker because we don't want to have this show be 2 hours long. I know one man to my right here would not enjoy that if it did go 2 hours, going a little past the man's bedtime. Gentlemen, let's get right. It starts with race 2 in the Interborough Stakes, 135,000 for 7 furlongs for older fillies and mares. And as we're covering Aqueduct and not Gulfstream on a Wednesday, we do have numbers in the program and we do have morning lines. Putting up on the screen right now, it's a field of 6 to kick off the racing that we're going to cover here at Aqueduct. The morning line favorite is a very heavy one in number 3, Lucille Ball, Manny Franco for Chris Englehart, 4-5 on the morning line. Second choice to number 5, Her Laugh, Jose Lascano, Riley Mott, in what I believe is her first start in her older campaign. And third choice to the inside, the number 1, Just Catherine, Sahin Kavachi, and Jose Jimenez at 5-1. Bringing up our picks on the screen right now. Andrew and I are both going 3-1 with Lucille Ball and Just Catherine. However, Patrick, you are going with one a little bit off the beaten path a little bit in the number 6, Our Daydreaming Girl. Louis Linder ships this one up. Of course, a trainer usually out in Andrew's neck of the woods. So obviously he'll give some nice intel to this horse who Andrew has in third as well. So Pat, what'd you like most about the number 6, Our Daydreaming Girl?
Yeah, I thought that our Daydreaming Girl, obviously he's been running in some pretty classy races, running into some pretty nice horses, obviously fully subscribed the last 2 times out in those graded stakes, and then running in the Cotillion in the grade 1. And listen, obviously she was almost 43-1 that day in the Cotillion. She ran huge in there. They were moving, wasn't too crazy quick going a mile and 16th, but I did like the way she finished that race to hit the board in there. And she's going to come from out of it like she has. But listen, she had a top buyer in that race in the Cotillion. And then just in the Mother Goose, she just really wasn't in it much throughout. Kind of just wasn't sure if that was her field and that's her level. And then last out in the Comley, kind of the same thing, hitting the board in there at longer odds. Did have a little bit of a troubling start, but what I do like here is I just think that she's back in a realm that's her class, and gets to 7 furlongs, which I don't think should be a problem for her. And I'm kind of hoping that the outside draw, she could kind of see the field and what they do, and going that one turn, she'll be able to make a move pretty quick. Rather than these 2-turn races that she's been running into just fields that have been loaded.
Yeah, and Andrew, obviously this is a cutback for this horse. You like him, you like her. Excuse me, you like her a little bit, even though it looks like Lucille Ball on paper does have a very easy lead. Whether you like her on top or not, this is definitely one that could be coming late to round out your exactas and tries if the number 3 Lucille Ball, who you and I have on top, gets away.
Yeah, like I had this horse as my long shot play, or one of my long shot plays in the Cotillion 3-back. This horse is really good. I like her effort in the Catherine Sophia as well. I was there that day, and this horse does have a strong late kick. She does, once she gets going in the stretch, she comes rolling. But I do think she actually will prefer the 7 furlongs, like the cutback, like right under a mile. I feel like is her ideal type of distance. Lou Linder's not going to ship this horse up here for nothing. This horse has been running really good. The last 2 times were in New York and both in graded stakes. And honestly, this field's a little bit lighter than those fields, but Lucille Ball is probably better than those horses that she was facing in those grade 3s and grade 2s. So yeah, I ended up chalking out in this race, but I don't hate our Daydreaming Girl. I think she's gonna be the one that picks it up late. So
And that's exactly the realm what I was thinking, even though I don't have her in there. I just think Lucille Ball is loose, guys. I know she's been facing way less. This will be second off the layoff now as well. Working super down at Belmont Park on the training track down there, of course. Not it can't be ran on the main track, so got to be run on the training track. But she just looks really loose. And this is usually a horse that I like to be trying to step up to this type of competition for the first time. I know it's not great at stake, so coming off 103 buyer winning by 10 and a quarter last time, this is probably, the next step up for this horse. But again, you don't like to, especially Chris Engelhardt hasn't had the best start to the Aqueduct meet. Lots of things that could play against her, but pace scenario just seems so easy for her. And if she does get that easy lead, and I mean, she could realistically win this race again by 10 and a quarter. And I would not exactly be surprised. Although, again, if she tires out, I wouldn't exactly be surprised either. But that extra half furlong should not be any issue in theory for Lucille Ball. I went the number 1 in second and Just Catherine. This will also be second off a monster layoff. Came back in the Go for Wand last time out, which again, that race is probably better than this one, even though it was only 5 horses with Weigh the Risks. Chad, Weigh the Risks would probably also be 4 to 5 in this spot, if not way less than that. Scalable is also a nice horse in her own right. Another graded stake place winner, stake winner, Jesus, and grade 3 winner as well. So 2 nice horses in there coming back. That's a tough ask first time out. Now, second off the layoff for Jose Jimenez. Sahin Savachi stays on board. This horse runs really well at Aqueduct. I think that Just Catherine has a really nice shot to round out the exacta. Obviously, Andrew, you do as well. And then Pat, you have the number 5 in there, Her Laugh. So I'll let you talk about that last, and we'll move on. But Andrew, anything to add on Just Catherine?
no, nothing for Just Catherine. Pat can go to Her Laugh.
Yeah, I think with Her Laugh, I mean, I didn't mean to laugh there. That's kind of awkward, but why are they turning back so quickly with it? I don't know if she's going to run, honestly. But obviously Riley Mott has some confidence shipping the horse north after running in the inside information there. And just, was not beating grand job that day at all. Just was far back from it. And I think it's interesting that she's going to come from it. And guys, listen, I do think, obviously you're right. You hit it on the head with Lucille Ball. She could have it her way and win again. Watching that race and, actually betting that race that she ran in, I was completely against her on that huge layoff that day. Had major surgery. I read in an article she had a knee problem, and, there was a 400 something day layoff, and she ran a hole in the wind. So listen, it does concern me. She's only got that one registered work. She runs to that number again. She's going to beat these horses like by 10 or 12, like you said, Kyle. But I'm just going to try and pick up some pieces here and see if I can get a horse that's going to come from out of it and hope it somehow falls apart.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It depends on who comes through. Obviously, Her Laugh is that horse. She never really moved, Pat, I guess, really. Last time out, even though she moved up to 4th, she was always 6 lengths back of the leader. So if Riley Mott thinks that, she really didn't have her race, almost like a workout that day, maybe they ship her up quick. But, I mean, that's definitely going to be something to take note of. Also, the fact that she'll probably be somewhere in those middling, 4 to 5 to 1, 6 to 1 prices, somewhere in there. So are you willing to take that price on a horse wheeling back in 2 weeks? So that's definitely something to keep in mind. In the Interborough Stakes, guys, I'm going 3-1-5. Pat's going 6-3-5. Andrew's going 3-1-6. And I know these are shorter fields, guys, but as I mentioned before, we are going to be pretty quick through these races. So not meaning to give short change to any horses or anything like that to you guys watching. But again, we have 7 races to cover, and I don't want this thing to take 2 hours. So hopefully you can expect a little bit of short change maybe to some horses that are also in these nice fields. But race 4 is the next race we're going to talk about, guys. It's the Toboggan Stakes. 7 furlongs for older males this time. Basically the same exact race, just carded for males rather than females. Morning line favorite is a decently soft one in here. And the number 1, Doc Sullivan, the very talented New York bred. Ricardo Santana for John Ortiz. I almost said Jose Ortiz. For John Ortiz at 5-2. Second and third choice is shared between the number 3, BU, Carmouche, and Pletcher, and the number 6 Victory Way for Lascano and Bill Mott as I put our picks on the screen right now. You guys both are going with the number 1 Doc Sullivan. I'm going with the second/third choice in the number 6 Victory Way, but it's the co-host against the host here, I guess. Uprising, if you will. But Andrew, I'll let you talk first, and then Pat, you can talk second. What do you like most about the number 1 Doc Sullivan?
Yeah, I just think Doc Sullivan's in probably the best form in the past 2 years, in my opinion, maybe of his career, honestly. Yeah, it sucks coming out of restricted and state bred races and then going to an open race like this. So usually a very tough thing, but the last 2 times that he faced open company were in grade 3s, and he finished a respectable 4th in both of those races at this distance. I just think that once this horse went to the Stallion Series 2 back, I think this horse really just took a next step forward. And then I like Santana staying aboard. And there's a good amount of speed in this race. And I think if anybody's going to be coming late, it's going to be Doc Sullivan on the rail, who's probably going to sit 4th on the backstretch and make that, rail saving trip. I just think that this horse is better at 7 furlongs. Maybe a little bit better at a mile, but 7 furlongs is basically the same thing in Aqueduct. So, yeah, I'll take Doc Sullivan at a little bit of a price, maybe like 2 or 3 to 1 in a field full of speed that probably will collapse at the end, and then Doc Sullivan picks it up.
Yeah, and I think that with Doc Sullivan, let's hope it rains just for that race, because that horse's numbers on a wet surface is just unbelievable. But he's ultra consistent, right, guys? And I just think that if he gets the pace set up that he should on the inside, hasn't had trouble getting the rail draw. Has gotten before, and in the 20 races that he's gotten it a couple times. Has hit the board in pretty much all of them. So I don't think that's a concern at all. The one thing that has kind of bit him in the past, going the 7 furlongs, was being a little too far out of it late, and that's what kind of does concern me. But getting Ricardo on board shouldn't be a problem. And John Ortiz has just had this horse consistently running well. I mean, you just look at the form since he's gotten the horse. He's had the horse running every month and is running those consistent buyers, and I think that's just really impressive, especially for a New York bred that can just kind of sweep this division in this series and just make a ton of money.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's done that already. He's up at almost $750,000 made in his lifetime. But actually, you hit on a lot of the stuff that I didn't like about him, and for the sole fact that I think he is, and it's not like saying he can't run on a fast dirt surface. Obviously, you can look at the form for yourself. Definitely can do that. I think he's better when it's wet. I think 7 furlongs is probably, 7 furlongs is not necessarily his best distance. I think going a little bit longer, maybe a mile, something like that, is better for him. But also, pace scenario wise, I think there's a bunch of speed in here, and I would not be too surprised if he is pretty far back. However, you're getting Ricardo, as you pointed out, other than Joel. Joel likes to sit a little bit farther back. He's content trying to make that late run. Ricardo does have the tendency to be a little more aggressive. So I actually do like that jockey staying on for Ricardo in terms of this horse itself. But Victory Way is my top pick, guys, and I really do like Victory Way in here. I know he's been in a lot of that allowance company. He hasn't really gotten over the finish line first in a lot of these efforts, but first off that layoff, a little bit of a layoff last time, guys. I mean, he was good. I know it was a very easy trip that day, but I don't think 7 furlongs necessarily is a problem. Giants Causeway, City of Light should hit him right between the eyes. And those last 3 dirt starts, just take that turf race and throw it out the window. That does not mean anything for this type of stuff. 94, 97, 96, and should just be sitting off a little bit ahead of Doc Sullivan. And in my thinking, a Victory Way can get that first run ahead of Doc Sullivan. I think that's the ticket to victory, especially at Aqueduct, where on the lead in the stretch does always bode very, very well if you hit that lead first. So, and Jose Lascano, not to mention, is winning 31% to kick off the winter meet at Aqueduct, which for him is an unbelievable start to meet. So looking forward to watching the Victory Way versus Doc Sullivan. I really do think it's a 2-horse race between those two, but I know you guys have a couple others in there. Andrew, you have the 7 in second. I have the 7 in third. being, oh my gosh, what the heck just happened? Maximus Meridius, a horse who's been very, very good and very, very bad in some starts. And I never really know which one you're going to get. There is a lot of speed in here, but he does like Aqueduct. He's also cross-entered into a race at Parks, Andrew. So actually, he was today.
He ran today. He's gonna
Okay.
scratch. Yeah, my
So
bad.
there
I
you
just
go.
checked.
Nope, that's good. That's literally
He
was just
ran
going to
a
ask you if he ran or not.
respectable fourth in a AOC.
And now, personally, for me, if Maximus Meridius is out, that makes me like Victory Way even more. To be completely
Yeah, I would
honest.
throw Victory Way probably in the mix now too. That
Just
was my fourth choice. So
because even though I mentioned he got a very easy trip last time, Maximus Meridius was that outside speed that I was kind of worried about because outside bearing down on him when Victory Way wants to be forward. But now he's going to have no one to his outside. He's going to have, in theory, an easy trip stalking to the outside of one of these horses to the inn ahead of Doc Sullivan. If that's the case, I really do like Victory Way even more. The only thing that hurts is now Maximus Meridius would have taken money, and Victory Way might go down a little bit from that 7-2 odds, probably more to like 5-2, but I'll still gladly take that with Lascano and Bill Mott. So other than that, there's a couple of, that was basically a production meeting in the middle. Pat, number 3, BU. Andrew, you can also talk about this, anything he doesn't mention. You both have him in third. I'd probably put him in third as well. Just super deep closer, always comes with his run. Don't get me wrong. Pletcher's done a fantastic job trying to campaign this horse. Actually, even sent to the Bluegrass and then the Woody Stevens. Probably just not that caliber type of horse, but still running those ultra consistent 95 buyers, mid 90 buyers, Pat, and fits in this race very well. Just the matter of the pace scenario, always for him.
Yeah, it always is. I mean that I think it's going 3-back, that Keeneland race where he just picked up the pieces off that race. That was they were flying in there. He's going to come from well out of it. He's a frustrating horse, so I think we could admit he just they never really were able to get him on top of his game for what they thought he was. But I really do think that he'll be coming really late and should be a good bet to hit the board in here just off class alone. This is a major class drop in terms of just horses in this race that he's faced in the past, I believe, guys. And I'm hoping that we'll see him flying late in here, which might be fractions that are not favorable to what he's going to be looking for.
And then like I mentioned, that's kind of my issue, Andrew. But to Pat's point, I mean, look at his last 4 races. You talk about racing lines, even in those optionals. I mean, you have Bookham down on the Woody Stevens, of course, but then Knightsbridge, he faced 2-back, who we all know how well that horse is finally coming into his own. And then in the last race, I mean, Donegal Surges is a nice horse. Came back to actually just run today at Aqueduct. Only ran 4th, but that was at 1 1/8. But got a 99 buyer in this race. Then BU, as we mentioned before, and Emirates Road, who's a nice horse, allowance horse in New York for Cox. So very nice competition that he's kept even in this type of condition.
Yeah, like I think that if there was all that speed, like if Maximus Meridius was running, I would really like this horse more, because of that potential pace, collapse. But I think this is just going to be a horse that's going to be a little too far back. It'll probably make a big run, but there's not going to be much to close into now with the lack of pace on the outside. So, it's going to be tough for this horse to win, but this horse is in good form, and Pletcher has this horse right where he wants it to be. So,
yeah, no, absolutely. I completely agree with you. I'd probably put him in third just based off running lines alone, which I know is not very creative, but it's just probably the way it's going to shake out most likely. So in race number 4, I'm going 6-1-3. Pat's going 1-6-3. Andrew's going probably 3-6.
Yeah,
6-3.
1-3-6 now. Yeah,
we're all around the same way like now with Maximus Meridius out. Next race we'll talk about, guys, is race number 6, the ladies stakes, 1 1/8 for older fillies and mares. As I bring up the Equibase on the screen right now, field of 6. Very, very heavy morning line favorite in the number 4. Weigh the Risks, Manny Franco, Chad Brown, 2-5 on the morning line from David Aragona. Second choice, number 3, Scalable for Carmouche and Pletcher, a horse that we just mentioned. And the number 2, Bernie Takes Charge for Ruben Silvera at 6-1 as your third choice. Putting the picks up on the screen, guys. Obviously, we're all going with the number 4, Weigh the Risks. Not really too much to really even talk about with her. It's just a matter of she seems so much better than this field. Bernie Takes Charge, in theory, does have a pretty easy lead, Pat, but if Way the Risk is sitting right off him, which she's had no problem doing before, it should be over. Actually, I see he's lagging. So Andrew, but it should be over if he does. I'll take a drink if she sits right off.
Yeah, no, actually, I think Manny Franco might just go to the lead and take this, by the chokehold, and just not mess around because she towers over this field. Whether it's class, speed numbers, run style, whatever, course, record and everything, but this horse should just be able to win easily. I don't know how. I would be surprised, to say the least, if this horse didn't finish first. So I think this horse just goes to the lead and just doesn't look back. I don't think he even tries to play around with Ruben Silvera on the 2.
I mean, I could easily see that too. Pat, I mean, she's never been outside the exacta. Again, there's not too much to talk about with her, but if she just gets the lead, gets the trip, I think she gets. This race could be over from the start.
Yeah, Chad's been placing this horse pretty well, considering the horse has been a bit frustrating early on. Usually Chad's horses seem to find their footing, and he seems to not have trouble with figuring out what surface they want to be on. But getting this horse on the dirt, I mean, this horse should be. Get this horse in graded stakes company on the dirt, please, because this horse is really well meant and just is really, really fast. And I'm not going to say anything else other than, obviously there's a horse that we covered earlier on that would be way longer odds in here to this horse again. So in this field is just, I don't think as strong.
I get it. I completely do agree with that. I have the 2 in second. Bernie takes charge for the sole fact that she looks loose on the lead. And if she does, and she's had a ton of pace pressure the last couple, out at 1 mile and 1 1/8 miles. This course at 1 1/8 miles again, where I think if she gets less pace pressure, she'll be even better. You can actually see it in the critical eye at Saratoga over the summer last year, where she didn't have that much pace pressure, and she had a lot of fight in her. I know it's a New York bred stake in there, but she had a lot of fight in her and was able to pull off the win with Marat aboard. Now getting Ruben Silvera back, as she's been on the last 2. No, she's a little bit much slower than someone like the 4, but with that pace scenario, I think that could be very beneficial to her. And the 3 scalable, not too much to say with her. She's always going to come with her run, but pace scenario wise, and also just up against it from the fact that I think she's just a cut below what Way the Risks is. Real quick, Andrew, talk about your bottom 2, because Pat and I both had the same horses. You didn't have them anywhere, so I want to hear what you have underneath. Purloin, Linda Rice, Lascano, obviously very well meant there. Then you have the number 5, Curlin's Girl. So you're going Chad, Linda.
Yeah, I just think one of the Lindas is going to come underneath the Way the Risk. I didn't really like the 3. I didn't really like the 2. I thought the 1 you could probably toss out. So I just figured on a day like the Friday, Linda Rice is going to have horses that are going to hit the board, and she has the 2 outside horses. So why not throw them underneath? I just don't think anybody beats the 4.
Yep. And look, in the race like this that seems so straightforward, again, you could see some really weird stuff happen, although I don't think this will be the race for that to happen. But again, trying to catch a little bit of a price underneath and maybe not going with the ones that look most likely to get there. And I mean, not even say Purloin's ran that last race can easily fit underneath in this race by far. And even
they're both horses for courses too. Right. They both have good records at Aqueduct. So
yeah, I mean, Curlin's Girl's never been out of the exacta at Aqueduct, and Purloin's never been out of the trifecta at Aqueduct. So no, very good point in both of those. In the ladies' stakes, I know that might be the quickest race ever covered at Bettin and Boozin history, but in the ladies' stakes, Pat and I are both going 4, 2, 3. Andrew's going 4, 6, 5. Last 4 races, guys. Tonight we're going to cover the late pick 4, which includes 2 stakes races, a really nice allowance, and then a maiden race to cover it out, because it wouldn't be Bettin and Boozin if we didn't have everyone's favorite time of the week, whether that is a Tapeta claimer for 10,000 or a New York maiden special weight to close out the card. The race number 8, guys, is the Ruthless Stakes, and I'll put it up on the screen right now. 3-year-old fillies going 7 furlongs. Put it up on the screen. Morning line favorite is to the outside, the number 7, Shilling. Chris Elliott rides for Kenny McPeak, 8-5. Morning line, second choice, the number 5, 2 Bits. Jaime Rodriguez rides for Amelia Green, 2-1 on the morning line. And the third choice is number 2, Interstate Love Song. Ricardo Santana for Tom Morley, 3-1. Morning Line, putting our picks up on the screen right now. You both get to tell me why I'm wrong again. Those two guys are both going with the number 7. Schilling, I'm going with the number 5. 2 bits in this race. And again, in a race that's a lot of very lightly raced horses, Schilling probably is the most well raced, considering that she's won against winners in that Tempted, Pat. And, she's also been working lights out at Belmont on the training track for Kenny.
Yeah, she has, and I find it interesting that Kenny keeps this horse up north and doesn't bring bring her down south to his to his string down there at Oaklawn or just into Florida. But I think that's more of a positive, honestly, because reading the article on Naira's website on the news under the news page, he brought up how this horse has just really loved being in New York and has been training really well. So I just think gets the outside draw here. I think that's really good for her. Her last race in the Demoiselle, she just had a little troubled start and then got to the lead, but just going that distance, that's not her. I don't think she wants to go the mile and the 8th. The 7 furlong should fit right in to what she's doing, into her wheelhouse. And I do think she's ready to run back to her previous races in Attempted, like you said, Kyle.
Obviously, Andrew, you think the same thing. The only other thing I want to raise to you, Andrew, did the pace scenario bother you at all? Because there is other speed in this race.
Yeah, at first, yes, I was kind of worried about Interstate Love Song a little bit. But I just think that McPeak is finally realizing that this horse isn't going to be an Oaks contender and more of a sprinter in the 3-year-old filly campaign. And I think that this is also a drop in class. And I just think even if she had to deal with another speed horse, she's just going to outclass them. So I figured outside speed, Elliott's going to be aggressive. That bullet workout off the layoff is really good. I think this horse is in really good form, and I think the class relief is going to be the cherry on top.
Yeah, and obviously I do agree with you guys. In theory, I have her in second just because I think she is the second most talented horse in the race. But that pace scenario did kind of bother me a little bit. I mean, Midnight Ginny is also not slow for Jose Sanchez and Lascano. Obviously, Interstate Love Song, as you guys brought up, for Tom Morley. I mean, there just seems like some other speed in here, and she's never really been tested. The last 3 races, I know obviously in the Demoiselle is a different animal per se, but even in those 2 races of going 7 and Attempted, I mean, she was clear by a wide margin, no pace pressure at all. I'd be very astounded if she did not take any pace pressure in this race, given that Interstate, a Love Song, and Midnight Ginny are in this race, and they really only have one way. Even Courage on Tap for Lou Linder's not slow either. So just a lot of frontline speed in here. I'm not saying Schilling can't win. I just haven't been able to see that side of her where she's been able to rate and go by horses. I think she's the fastest out of all of them. It's just the matter of she's never taken that pressure before, and if she's going to be something to 5, I'm going to be looking other places, and that's why I landed on 2 bits. Again, Rodriguez, Amelia Green, only win, which is at maiden race. However, did that from stalking and did it very well, very professionally on this surface. I know going a mile, the 7 furlongs, which I believe this race is going to be maybe a little bit different animal just because it's shorter, but Rodriguez has been piloting very, very well out here. Ran in the Busanda last time, lost to Dazzling Dame, which in that race for Brittany Russell got loose again, was completely on the lead. That will not happen in this race, at least in theory. I'm going to knock on more wood because I'm going to basically put your guys' horse in the winner's circle if I keep talking like that. But in theory, this horse should have a nice pace setup to run into, and also one that she really has not gotten at all. They're going pretty quick at Aqueduct. The only race they've gone quicker than 47-1, she ended up winning at the mile. So I'm going to give her a chance to beat this field just on the sole fact that she will be second choice and that she will have a very favorable pace scenario to run into on Friday. The only other horses that we have in there, guys, we all have the 2, or Pat and Andrew have the 2 in there somewhere in Interstate Love Song. Talked enough about her, but I have the 7, and then a lot of us have the 3, which, Andrew, I'll go to you, then we'll close it out. Michael Moore, back in your neck of the woods again at Parks, shipping up here. Horse is working very well down at Parks. Obviously, Mike Moore has some confidence in her shipping her up here for this race.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with this horse, but I am a big fan of Michael Moore's barn at Parks. I think he's one of the better trainers when it comes to just knowing a horse and where to put the horse. He does it all. Like he's one of the more honest horsemen around the area. So I like this horse a lot. I like the workout tab. This horse has been consistent on the workouts, even despite the bad weather. I mean, that's probably why this horse hasn't really worked since that race. But to not have the horse work since that race and then move it up to a race like this, despite the lack of works, is a huge confidence boost for a horse like that, in my opinion. And I just think this horse is going to need improvement. But I think this horse long term might be a legit contender when it comes to this kind of level of horses.
No, absolutely. And obviously, I completely agree. Not only that, but I've talked about it ad nauseum so far. That pace scenario could only be her friend
Right.
on Friday as well for our Golden Gator, which is the number 3. In race 8, I'm going 5-7-3. Pat's going 7-2-5. Andrew's going 7-2-3. Guys, to race number 9, which is a nice optional claimer going 1 mile and 1/8 on the dirt for older males. And this is our first full field, guys. 12 horses carded here, headed by the morning line favorite, the number 1, Chillax, Cavacci, and Bill Mott, 5-2. On the morning line, second choice shared between the number 5, Valentinian for Pletcher, and the number 10, Landoro for Miguel Clement. Bringing our picks up on the screen right now. Pat, you and I are both going with Chillax. However, Andrew going a little bit off the beaten path here with Ray Handel, obviously good friend of the podcast with the Delphi Racing, 8-1 on the morning line with Jaime Rodriguez aboard. So lots of good things to like. Hopefully, I'm not wrong, selfishly, but of course, you get to prove us why we're wrong and why you're going with the number 6, Georgia Magic.
Yeah, I'm taking a little bit of a risk here in hoping that this horse can return to form without the blinkers, which this horse debuted without blinkers, and then they ran it in the Jerome back as I believe, a fresh 3-year-old, and that horse didn't fire. But over the time, this horse has shown glimpses of being able to run. And I really like those last 2 races that even though they were poor finishes, the horse's buyers have jumped up. And then on top of that, you get this bullet workout on the 23rd of January outside of those 2 races off the layoff. And then you add in the blinkers off, which this horse has won with before on the front end. And I don't see much speed in this race at all outside of this horse. And Jaime Rodriguez is I think one of the most underrated riders in the country, and has really taken that next step going to New York, leaving the Mid-Atlantic area. So I think that, even though Handel's barn's been pretty cold lately in New York, I think this horse is ready to fire, and I really like this horse's chances today.
Yeah, and obviously that pace scenario does lead very well into Georgia Magic, although I know Pat's going to throw the poo-poo, as Pete Visco would say, because I know he's got a good poo-poo set for Ray Handel. But no, Georgia Magic, again, talking about will be on the lead, blinkers off. You mentioned that when the only other races horses won other than a claiming race was that first maiden with blinkers off. So I think that's definitely one thing to keep in mind, and gets Jaime Rodriguez, which I believe is an upgrade from Chris Elliott, at least at this point of Chris's career. Obviously, that can change as the young rider gets more and more experience. But Georgia Magic obviously makes a ton of sense from that standpoint. Pat, you and I are both going with Chillax. I'll let you bring up the poo-poo stat if you want to, and then go into Chillax.
Listen, Ray's a good guy. It put a chip on his shoulder, right? I couldn't believe I saw his last winner on the New York circuit. Was gratefully August 20th in Saratoga. That horse, obviously, gratefully for, like you said, Kyle, a Delphi who we all love, is obviously bound for a stakes race next out after that horse just seems to be romping in the level that he's at right now. When I saw that, I was just like, wow, Ray needs to heat up a little bit.
Yeah. No, I mean, absolutely. Wouldn't hurt for sure. Chillax is the horse you and I are both going with, Pat. I think even though he likes to come from a little bit more out of it, I think he has the tendency to be able to rate closer. I think Cavacci kind of hits on that he's a little bit more aggressive than someone like Liscano, who might keep him back a little bit. I think, especially from the rail too, break to the inside, hopefully sit mid-pack.
Yeah, this horse has been really frustrating. And we've, seen Junior in person like we've had in the past. When I was up in Saratoga in the middle of August, we talked to him about Chillax the morning after that race. It was a Monday. We were talking to him, and he's so frustrated. This horse is just so goofy. Doesn't want to really pass horses. Obviously did break his
Yeah.
maiden 2 back.
And then the next time out comes back and wins by 3 3/4. So
Exactly right. Yeah, exactly. We talked all the crap and then he does it right. But getting gelded here, I really do believe this horse does have a lot of talent. It's just a matter of hopefully this horse is willing to do what it needs to do because he's going to come from a little bit out of it. Junior did have him a little more forwardly placed, especially in that last race at Saratoga because it was that mile race out of that chute, and it gets tight there. But yeah, Kyle, I think that this horse faced some tough foes last time. I don't see why the mile and an eighth shouldn't be a problem. Has run it a couple times, but I'm really interested to see getting the rail here, how this horse is bet because I really want to use this horse in a couple different bets. I'm hoping kind of stays under the radar a little bit and doesn't get bet too heavily.
yeah, 5-2 is the morning line. Probably, I think, get around that. It's a very wide open field. Lots of horses, especially this one having 4 seconds, Pat. I feel like, but again, he's kind of been the goofy horse, right? He's not been willing to pass. I think the ultimate equipment change will help that. Obviously, being first time gelded after that little bit of a layoff. And I can tell you what, he's surely working like it. The last couple of times on the Belmont training track, he's been 3 of 28, 11 of 66, and 7 out of 133. So working extremely well after getting that ultimate equipment change. So I think that can only benefit him come Friday after he's been such a head case early in his career. So I do completely agree with you, everything you said on that one, Pat. Andrew, I'll let you round it out here. Waitlist is a horse for Linda Rice that you have in second. Then Pat, last horse we'll talk about is the number 10, Landoro. But Andrew, what'd you like about Linda's horse and Waitlist?
I meant to put 10 there, actually. My bad. My bad.
He just wants to get on to the next race, Kyle. That's
no,
all he's saying.
No. I do actually like Landioro, but I think that this is a 2-horse race anyway. So outside of that, but no, Landoro I do like. I think Clement has this horse good. I like Franco hopping back on the horse. Yeah, I just think that there's been a couple excuses especially last time out. Horse just never got comfortable. I think this horse needs something to run at, and I think he gets that today. So, yeah, I like Landoro underneath. I don't hate Waitlist, though, even though I feel like now we just talked that one into the winner's circle. But,
way to go.
Yeah, no, either of those 2 horses are fine underneath for me.
Yeah, I mean, this horse has been running in state competition, Pat. So, but obviously coming back out to open company, the horse didn't run too well, but also ran into a very good horse in Life and Times who came obviously in the Fred Hooper, lost to Knightsbridge, but still, obviously, the world's the oyster for that horse. And also Dreamlike, who came back today to run third. So Landoro, lots of opportunity for this 5-year-old to get a little bit better going into its older years.
Yeah, for sure. We've covered this horse, I think, a couple times too, and I can never get him right. But he has definitely improved over the last couple months, and I do think that this horse is going to be a square price in here. Considering that it's either Chillax, obviously he's the second choice, but I do think the more we go through this and talk about it, that Chillax may be bet down pretty heavily to some pretty low odds. But this is a good allowance race for the time of year, I believe.
I mean, there's others in there that we didn't get to talk about. Obviously, Pat, you have the 8 Magical Ways for the switch to Atris in for the claim. I have the number 5 in there, Valentinian for Pletcher, who I'll actually show on the screen. Source had said some really nice numbers in the middle of last year. Hasn't been able to put it together the last 2. But honestly, it's interesting that Sanchez hops aboard this horse. Obviously, all the guys that Todd would use are either in Oaklawn or Gulfstream or something like that. So obviously, very good to see Mikel Sanchez get aboard and get an opportunity with a horse like Valentinian. So I have that horse in third, and Andrew had Chillax in third. So race 9, I'm going 1-10-5. Pat's going 1-8-10. Andrew's going 6-10-1. My apologies, of course. Race number 10, guys, is the feature race on the card. I believe it is for Kentucky Derby points, if I'm not mistaken, being the first start in the New York circuit with the Withers. It's a 1.125 miles, which, again, you really don't see this early in the Kentucky Derby. The Withers is always that true test for these New York horses. It's a field of 7, again, going a 1.125 miles. 3-year-olds, of course, are only in this race. And I bring up the Equibase on the screen right now. It's a fight between the Chads for the morning line favoritism in the number 3, Otino for Jose Lascano, and the number 2, Schoolyard Superman, a beautiful gray for Manny Franco at 2-1. Otino was 9-5, and the number 1, Grittiness, is your third choice for Ricardo and Pletcher. Putting our picks on the screen right now. Andrew, look at going hometown, huh?
Oh,
I see you
geez,
there.
I wonder why.
Going Melata with Mikael Sanchez and Robert E. Reed. And Pat, you are going with Grittiness, the number 1. I'm going with Otino, but I'll let Pennsylvania Man talk first. Obviously, he has a little bit more to say probably than this horse is from Parks, and he likes that this horse is from Parks. This horse won basically by Secretariat lengths last time out. Now, obviously, the next step would be to put him in here. Obviously, Robert E. Reed, though, shows a bunch. He doesn't put his horses lightly in races like this. So the fact that this horse shows up here obviously should instill some confidence.
Yeah, I mean, Butch Reed is probably the Todd Pletcher of Parks. So he gets the best horses. He gets the best owners. But look, how am I an Eagles fan and not going to take my Lotta in a stake race that could potentially give this horse a Derby chance?
There we go.
You got to
the
take
blindside protector.
This is a total bias pick. Don't get me wrong. I think there is better horses. Obviously, Chad Brown's horses are pretty tough in this race. But I mean, to be honest, I didn't even take the Chad Browns. I was trying to be creative in this race, and then put them underneath. But I think my Lotta is a pretty good horse. I've seen this horse run live a couple times. The horse is turn into form. It has won at 2 turns before. I don't think distance is going to be an issue. The only problem is that I don't know how much this horse wants to be off the pace, and there could be a ton of pace in this race because these are relatively young horses, and one of the Chads is going to go. So it's tough, but I like the horse. I think the horse is going to be an outside chance, and Butch Reed's not going to put this horse here without having some confidence.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you, and I honestly say the same thing goes for Pat's horse as well. In the number 1, Grittiness, this horse is still a maiden now, and it went into the Remsen last time. Went to the Remsen last time. Now goes into the Withers here, still looking for that ultimate win, but has run some nice races and paired by our tops in the Matt Bernier angle. Means probably a step forward coming here.
Yeah, it definitely does, Kyle. You're right on that. And you got to trust Todd. Keep placing this horse in this type of race, not broken his maiden yet. I just thought that Remsen race, he just obviously that was a loaded race, multiple talented horses in there. He was just wide the whole way and could never really get going. He was passing horses, but was not able to really sit in a spot that gave him a chance in that race. So I really want to give this horse another chance going 2 turns, going this 1.125 Should really appreciate it, being a Curlin. And I'm hoping that this horse can take another step forward. Has thrown in a couple steady works that should keep him in this spot with Ricardo aboard. I don't see why not. They're going to take the blinkers off here, which probably is best for him. I would think just watching that last race. But the steady progression through this horse and should sit the nice stalking trip, getting the rail position. But obviously the 2 Chads will be tough customers.
This horse I cannot remember the horse's name that Chad did this with too. I want to say it's obviously not Magnitude. That's the name that's coming to my mind.
That Todd did it with?
Yeah, the one that he was a maiden, kept running in these big races. Everyone kept backing him and never ended up winning. I cannot remember.
Wasn't it the horse that scratched on Derby Day?
Yes.
Oh,
I can never remember the horse's name, but I can't remember right now.
Send it to the chat. Who's going to get that? Come on.
Howard's in the chat. I know he'll probably remember that horse. Again, I want to say Magnitude. It's obviously not that, but that's the only name that's coming to my mind. But obviously, you got to trust Chad in here. Well, yeah, I know what you're going to say. We don't need to talk about that. Grittiness, obviously, you have to trust Chad and Todd in here, even though He actually hasn't had a winner so far in this winter Aqueduct meet, but Ricardo aboard should keep this horse pretty close. And again, paired by our tops, blinkers off now after the last time out. Obviously, not a whole lot went well to take the blinkers right back off, but Oxbow Curlin should be no stranger to this type of distance. So I do like grittiness as well. I have the horse in third. I probably might have put him in second, actually. I had Schoolyard Superman in third originally and moved him up to second. I am Chad in here, but I really, really like Otino in this race. And honestly, if there wasn't a whole ton of pace, I probably would have liked Schoolyard Superman. I love that last replay of how professionally he took that last race, but Practical Jokes are not known for going, longer than that sprinting distance. So that does scare me. However, obviously Chad thinks so, but Quality Road, Giants Causeway mare, distance should be absolutely no issue. I know it's coming out of a maiden race, but it's a 1.125 race, which again, if you know about who did that recently, you let me know in the chat as well. But Otino just screams everything should be good to go here. Lascano hops aboard. Manny Franco has been on Schoolyard Superman. I know he rides all the time for Chad. He's number one call for Chad in New York, but he's ridden Schoolyard Superman all 3 times, and Pratt's ridden Otino both times. So having Lascano on this horse doesn't scare me one bit. Horse loves Aqueduct, obviously, and showed the ability to pass horses first time out at a mile. Obviously, first time out, I also really like that. But the fact that this horse is probably going to have to sit mid-pack with the pace on, the 2 Chads are definitely not going to duel. I think Otino is going to be one to take back. I think he kind of more inherited the lead last time because they went 49 and almost 4, 114 and 4 last time out. Showed a ton of grit. I expect this horse to sit middle pack and not explode, but grind his way to victory. I'm not sure how good he actually is, but with that pedigree, I'm very, very interested in Otino and will be calling on the irresponsible wager of the week if he goes above at least at 9-5. That will be a big irresponsible wager of the week from me. I know there's a bunch of others in here. 4th and 1, actually, Andrew, I'll end with this horse because Siggy Mendoza, my friend, says 4th and 1 has been involved with battles with Bravaro. Also like his pedigree to handle the distance. Maxfield, Medagliadoro mare. Talk about distance. Medagliadoro is always one of the top sires that puts them in that realm. Obviously, won very nicely last time out. Just going to be part of that pace scenario, although showing the ability a little bit to sit off in that first maiden special weight with Bravaro.
Yeah, I really think this is the horse that if you don't like the Chads for some reason, I think this is the horse that might be the upset watch here. Like I said, it's Rodriguez, it's Engelhart. Both are doing pretty well. This horse has been in duels before. And the horse has won. Last time out, they took the blinkers off. The first 3 races were with blinkers, and all 3 races he dueled, but then was dueled into submission at the end. Takes the blinkers off, and then the horse opens up. I think this horse is going to take that next step forward. I like the outside speed aspect of it. But obviously I think Otino is probably the horse to beat. Definitely the one that I would be the most worried about. But I'm gonna try to take some of the speed and see if the speed can hold on. And to one thing for the grittiness before we go to the next races,
yep.
I love the blinkers off angle with this horse because I think 2 back is when Todd really clicked with this horse in that main special weight, and then they were like, oh, let's try to make an improvement and put blinkers on. And then the horse goes 9 wide and loses focus. And then now they take the blinkers off and he keeps this horse in a Derby prep, which is a huge sign of intent, I think, with Pletcher. So that's why I put that horse in third.
And I completely agree with you, Andrew. It's shout out to my man. I've never seen the man in the chat before, but he's got the knowledge. Sam Falcon, my friend.
Oh yeah, Grande.
Grande was not the horse I was thinking about. But that was the horse that was scratched out of the dirt. Publisher was the horse I was thinking about because trained by Asmussen. Sorry. So got my trainers mixed up. I got so many horses in the brain. That's my own fault. So I look like a moron.
I was thinking of Grande, so I look like an idiot because that horse broke his maiden and then won an allowance race, I believe, and then came in second in the wood. And I just looked that up. This horse has just got back to training Grande.
That's what I was about to ask. I was like, I've been asking for that horse's updates for months now.
No, but
that's great though.
Sam Falcon, shout out to you, my friend. Yes, Publisher was the horse that I was thinking about. Obviously, not trained by Chad or Todd, so I look like a complete moron, but that's not the first time on the show, and it won't be the last. I promise you that. In race 10, in the Withers, I'll string to that, trust me. I'm going 3-2-1. Pat's going 1-3-2. Andrew's going 5-7-1, trying to beat the Chads. Last race we'll talk about pretty quick, guys. Then we'll move on to best bets. I want to talk a little bit of Super Bowl before we end this show. Race 11 is a maiden special weight, New York maiden special weight at that for 3-year-old fillies. Only foaled in New York State, of course. Field of 11, morning line favorite. The number 7, Factory Setting, Chad Brown, Manny Franco, 9-5. Second choice being the number 11, Into Hijinks for Lou Linder, 7-2. And your third choice is shared between the number 3, Major's Dream Come True, and Raynham Hall, which, spoiler alert, we're all going with Raynham Hall. So I don't know what that means about us, but we're all trying to take an 8-1 on here. Pat, I'll let you go first. This is a horse that has only run on turf, working lights out on the dirt, and now shows up here for Rudy Rodriguez and Ruben Silvera off the layoff. Obviously, it's either we all have trust in this horse or we all really don't like everyone else.
Yeah, it could be a combination of both. I just think this horse has run well. Just hasn't been able to get there, especially on the turf. But this horse is fast. A pretty quick horse, and I want to give this horse a chance on the dirt at a square price. Where Rudy has, since he's come back, he's been running really well. His horse has been put in great spots, and I don't see why this horse in this race with this field can't run a quality in this state bred race. What I'm trying to get to here, I definitely think this horse is going to hit the board. It's just a matter of if the 7 is going to improve off his 2 starts. But I want to have this horse in my exactas and tries, because I firmly believe this horse will be up front, and I'm just not sure others in here want to pass any horses.
And bingo, and that's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm kind of more on the I don't like anyone in here, Andrew, but again, you talk about this going to the dirt where he's been working very well. Obviously, the turf hasn't exactly worked out too well. First time Lasix is it's his first start or her first start at 3, and you're coming back to that sprinting distance where I think her better races are. So kind of a culmination of things for me with Raynham Hall.
I just really like Ruben Silvera on this horse. He does really well with Rudy. He doesn't get the best quality horses with Rudy, but during the winter meets up there, he really rides well for him. I love the cutback in distance, and I love the switch to dirt. I just think that this horse is probably going to be on the lead, if not second. I don't know how to really read the Into Hijinks horse. It's just a weird one. I think Lou Linder's just bringing better horses up, and this was like, oh, let's throw the New York bred in the van with them. So let's try a New York maiden special weight. But I really like the cutback, really like the switch of surfaces, and I really like Ruben Silvera on the horse. So that was my thing. I just really think that the Lasix is going to help too. That bullet workout was pretty nice, 5 furlongs. Yeah, just a couple green flags for a horse that hasn't shown much.
Well, and Howard says, why the dirt? I honestly completely think the horse has worked himself or herself onto the dirt rather than the turf. That's my thinking.
I mean, she's bred for turf. Don't get me wrong.
Straight Cry, obviously, Cloud Jumper. This horse, even though a lot of dirt sprint pedigree in here as well, Scarlet's Dream was a horse that's been passed around in New York for a long time. Run some decent races, made 118,000, only 1 for 16. But you can go through. I think it's the workouts that put this horse on the dirt. I think there's other horses in here, though. Obviously, have a ton of chance in here. Factory Setting, Pat, Manny Franco, Clarovitz, Chad. One coming out of a maiden optional claimer. Ran 3rd to Lady Rose. Favorite in both starts. Will be favored again here. Just I'd rather go with others, but again, if this horse wins, I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I won't be surprised at all. When this horse romps this field, this horse has been a short price in both starts. Just really hasn't run well at all. And I'm just trying to see. It's true. I'm just trying to see what this horse is. Obviously, Chad, does always pick a couple horses within, the New York breds that he sticks in there and just lets them roll through those races and dominate that division. But this horse really hasn't shown me anything of recent that to back this horse at low odds again. So I'm going to try and find a price and let this horse beat me. But obviously, I'll have this horse on top in exactas and tries in this race.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of things in here she probably will improve, but again, there's just others I think that can improve as well. And if she's going to be 8 to 5, I'd much rather have other horses that are running extremely similar numbers to her, and that's just my opinion. I went with Sugartown Sweetie in third. I know it was nowhere with Paul Barrow, but Lascano hops aboard here, working nicely. Matoli goes Sapper Mare as well. There should be no issue with the distance. And Galinda, who won that race, also came back and has been running. Obviously, that one, the one race there from Miguel Clement was obviously very good. Other horses in here have not come back, but still figures to be a very nice race. And hopefully, I know she's coming back maybe a little quick in 3.5 weeks, but still, Sugartown Sweetie might have the ability to improve when I really just don't like anybody else. I don't like any of the firsters. I know Lulinder, like you said, Andrew, probably makes a whole ton of sense in here, but it seemed to me like that was the one that kind of just like, you know what? Go on the barn too, or go on the van too, keep him aboard. But again, obviously that could be good enough to run very well in here. I just really don't like anyone else. So I'm going to try and go ahead with the 8 and hopefully can beat the 7 and win, comfortably. And we'll have all, a real handy day at Aqueduct, but you'll see my best bets coming through here and who I really like in the final race, race 11 for the full 7 race Bettin and Boozin show. 8-7-10 for me, 8-7-11 for Pat, and 8-1-4 for Andrew, all going at the 8-1 on top in the last race. Guys, we're going to talk best bets, and then we're going to quickly talk the Super Bowl because I know everyone here will be watching the Super Bowl, and I know a lot of people will be betting on the Super Bowl as well. Andrew, you talked about it a little bit, but in race 9, win on the number 6, Georgia Magic. And sorry, I forgot to mention, if you guys are enjoying the podcast, how many people are watching? If you guys enjoyed tonight, please hit the like button here on YouTube. It shows us, one, that you guys enjoy the content, and 2, it would really help us out. So we greatly appreciate it. If you take the 2 seconds, go down below the video player, hit that thumbs up button. We would greatly appreciate it. Andrew, race 9 and win on number 6, Georgia Magic. Talking about Ray Handel, obviously been a little cold in New York, but hoping for a good price, 1 and 2 to break that streak.
Yeah, I just hope that this horse can get back to form. It's been really spotty as of late, or actually most of his career, but the blinkers off, Rodriguez being aggressive, probably some of the maybe loose speed. I think it is going to be loose speed, and that bullet workout just scream that this horse is ready to run. And I think the blinkers off is going to be the game changer there.
Like I said, and absolutely could be at should be a nice price. So Andrew with a lone horse on the lead, good luck. Your best bet. Pat, going to you next. Race we talked about, number 6, Our Daydreaming Girl, you had on top in race 2. And in race 9, a double 1 with 1-3 that is singling Chillax in that race for Bill Mott and Cavacci. And in the Withers, you're going with Grittiness and Otino.
Yeah, Our Daydreaming Girl in Interborough, 6-1 on the morning line. Obviously wasn't in this field when it was Drew, a couple weeks back due to the weather. But I just really think that this horse gets out of the class that she was in those graded stakes, and finds a field that she should appreciate. Gets a little refreshing here, a little longer than she expected, which I think could be good for her. So I'm going to definitely take her at a square price in here, over a couple others, and then I'm going to play a double with Chillax into the 1 and 3, into Grittiness and Otino, who you like, Kyle, who I know you're very fond of, and I do think I'm going to get. I don't know. What do you think odds wise? You think I'm going to get between 5 and 8-1 on?
I think so. I mean, Chillax won't be like the heaviest favorite by any means either, in a very large field in that race too. So I think you'll get a square price no matter who you go with. But obviously, what going most likely favorite will hurt the odds. Probably be 6-1. It's 6-7-1 if you will. And with the number 1 in Grittiness, you'll probably get somewhere upper singles, low doubles, in my opinion. Not double the bet, of course, double digits being that. Pat, good luck with your best bets. In my 2 best bets, I mentioned I'm just going 2 win bets straight up. Number 4, Our Victory Way, going off somewhere around 5-2 now with the most likely scratch of the number 7, Maximus Meridius, for Robert E. Reed, who ran earlier today as we're recording this. I really do like Victory Away, especially now without that outside overbearing speed. And the irresponsible wager of the week with number 3 in the Withers with Otino. I really think the horse can sit mid-pack. One of the only horses that's shown that he can pass. And if he does, and if he turns out to be the horse I think he will be with the distance, I think a lot of those horses will be running for second. I know Jim Pilar is in the chat saying you're placing a win bet on another chalk again. And I know, but don't worry, Jim. The irresponsible wager of the week will cover that. Don't you worry, my friend. Gentlemen, that'll conclude, of course, the horse racing segment. But I know you guys are interested. We're going to talk for probably 5 minutes about the Super Bowl. I know I've already basically got my bets locked in. As a very astute coin toss better, of course, you know me.
Oh, yeah, we're back.
We're so back, Pat. Don't you worry. We are so back. But lots of good things to look forward to in the Super Bowl. Obviously, the Seahawks, with their rise, Sam Darnold. I know my Vikings fan of a friend, shout out to TJ, is not happy about Sam Darnold being in this Super Bowl. Obviously, being basically given away from the Vikings and letting walk. And of course, Drake May on the other side of the ball with the Patriots. There's a ton of things to like about this year's Super Bowl. And I've already got my bet locked up. I'll talk about it here in a second. But Pat, I mean, again, very interesting matchup, not only defense-wise, but quarterbacks, the whole 9 yards. This shape up to be a pretty good Super Bowl.
Yeah, it has. I would never have expected the Patriots to make the Super Bowl the way they did. Their path has just been truly incredible. Who they've had to face and what they've done to get here. They've been impressive all year. They're as quality as it gets. I'm more focused on my angle on this Super Bowl is the Patriots offense has been, I'll say it bluntly, anemic. They haven't been able to do anything. What they've done is kind of bounced off of what other teams couldn't do, and just that's been their thing. And I don't see that happening on Sunday. Seattle's going to be able to kind of control everything, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I'm going to play the under. That's going to be my play. And I'm actually going to do. I like doing the cross sport things, especially into the waste management, which is always fun to bet on, especially on Sunday, because you watch that all Sunday morning into the afternoon, kicks you right into kickoff. And I really like Sam Burns. I'm going to bet him across the board, top 5, top 10, top 20, and I'm going to parlay that with the under, and you can alternate spread that. So that's going to be my kind of theory. I just don't know how the Patriots score much at all in this game, guys. But their defense is very good. It could make it for a great game, and I hope it does.
Obviously, Paul Halloran, of course, believes the other way around. Obviously, he hopes that Drake May can throw something together. I am in agreement with you, Pat, just for the sake of it right now. But obviously, Andrew, you watch just as much football, if not more, than the rest of us. You know what's going on. Also, up in your neck of the woods with New England, Boston, I'm sure we're sick and we're always sick and tired of hearing about those damn Patriots, and now they're back again. But what are your thoughts right now on this year's Super Bowl?
Look, I'm a anti-Patriots guy to the death of me, but I can't hate this Patriots team. There's just nothing to hate about them. I'm a big Trey Henderson fan for my dynasty leagues and whatnot. I also have Keyshawn Booty on a bunch of teams. So
yeah,
I kind of like Booty to score, but I do think Seattle wins. I think that Seattle is going to probably just be the better team from start to finish. They're going to probably control the run game. I think Kenneth Walker, probably the second best running back in the league. No bias to Barkley, even though off the bad year, I still think Barkley's the most talented running back in the league. Just a horrible offensive scheme. But
PTSD for this man.
Yeah. Sorry to bring that up, but thank you.
Yeah, right.
But to go to the waste management, I actually like I just want to put out the two guys I have money on. Shout out to my buddies over in a different Discord. Shout out Mooney Gang and whatnot. They're pretty good at the golf stuff. I got Pottinger at a huge price to win and win without. And then I also have Pearson Cootie, who's on fire so far to start the season. And I like his price a lot. I got him at plus 6,000 and plus 4,400 without Scheffler. So I like those two prices. I sprinkled a little bit, but yeah, Seahawks money line, maybe a little sprinkle on Booty touchdown.
Booty touchdown, baby. That's put that one up on the wall of fame next to a bunch of other ones that we've seen so far in the league. But I'll tell you, I immediately, once the Pats beat won the AFC Championship, I immediately placed a bet on Seattle to win the Super Bowl. I knew no matter what, I was never going to get plus money. I already had money on them to beat the Rams. So I got the Seahawks at plus 170. when in theory they're probably going to be about minus 200, if not, something around that. So
more than that.
So I was able to get plus money. I should have made the bet when they won their divisional round game, but I actually did. They were like only plus 350, something like that. So lost out on a couple, $100 or whatever, but still I immediately placed that. I have that locked in. It's debating on what to do for the coin toss. I was devastated that I lost last year. I was on a 5-in-a-row streak and lost last year. My whole day gets decided. If the coin toss wins, I'm immediately profitable. I don't make anything else, or I don't. I can lose everything else and still win on the day, but I'm gonna figure it out. Obviously, Gatorade color. Got to bet on the Gatorade color, of course.
Purple.
This is a gambling show, by the way. Of course, gambling means you have to gamble a little bit. So we go coin toss, we go Gatorade color, and of course, then we put the Seahawks to win and make all the money back that we lose placing on stupid bets because we're drinking against the Super Bowl. So, and I'm gonna be laying out. It's gonna be beautiful out here, 74 and sunny. Obviously, not game time. It'll be night, but it'll be perfectly clear. So enjoy your cold weather, boys. I know you will, very much so. And out in shout out Tom Espinoza out in San Francisco. Should be very nice out there for the boys. Bill, my friend, haven't seen your name in the chat. Seattle to the over. What Bill likes. Jim Pilars says the Pats will not score much. Second half of the Bills-Pats game. Bills switched to cover 6. Pats could not move the ball. All playoff teams have used it against the Patriots effectively, and the cover 6 is Seattle's base defense. So love that, Jim. Obviously, for the bet that's already locked in, I really do love that. Howard says he's placing money line on Seattle. Not a big rooting interest. Super Bowl for him this year. Good luck to anyone betting as well. Tom Espinoza agrees with the mess. So lots of different ways to view the Super Bowl. Obviously, Seattle's kind of dominated the whole way through. The Patriots and Drake May is the best storyline of the Super Bowl. And shout out to Bake May, of course, that being his wife for Bakemas. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you guys are not chronically on the internet enough like I am.
You got a lot of lore, you know.
There's too much lore going on. I think that's going over a lot of people's heads in the chat. So I will stop talking and we'll move to the end of the show. But guys, good luck however you play, of course, the Super Bowl and at Aqueduct this weekend. This concludes another episode of Bettin and Boozin here on the HHH Racing Podcast this week for episode 167, covering the huge day at Aqueduct. God, I thought we were going to make it through that without doing that.
Sorry, nobody did it, so I had to.
The fact that he did it too. Next thing, Pat's going to start ripping it out. I'm going to probably fall over in my chair. 167 of Bettin and Boozin here on the HHH Racing Podcast, covering the Withers Day on Aqueduct Friday for February 6th, 2026. And until next time, everybody, crush those bets, win those photos, and stay safe, everyone. We'll see you in the next one. Have a good night.